Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to be here with you on this Motivation and Mindset Monday, where our topic of the week is going to be really focused on making sure you do not lose track of where you are headed. And there are so many different nuances around this topic. I can't wait to really get into it because it's a topic that I continue to explore about every 12 weeks or so. And the reason is that you've heard me talk about it before, but I use this formula called the 12-week year. And by using the 12-week year, it allows me to really make sure that if I'm headed in the wrong direction, that if life in any area of my big goals, right, for family, for body transformation, for overall health, for spirituality, for relationships, for all these different things, if it's not headed in the right spot, okay, I can begin to make changes then instead of waiting 6 months, a year, or years before ever contemplating if this is where I want to be heading. So I've got a great story I want to share with you in just a moment. This is something that I read, and that's why not all social media is bad, right? Because I get to find some great posts and some great stories, and there was a great kind of moral of the story that I want to share with you soon. But this topic, this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I'm going to go back. I'm going to share with you just some earlier days stories of where my life was headed off track and I was able to just course correct. I didn't know as much back then. I didn't know how to formally do these things, but I think we all get hunches. I think we all get urges and really gut feelings talking to us saying, this is not where you want to be in your life. This is not where you should be heading, and you need to do something now. But when it really started to get pulled together and really come to fruition for me, when I was reading some of Tim Ferriss's work about, I don't know, I would say maybe 6 years ago or 7 years ago. And he essentially said, you want to really test out a lot of these daydreams of yours, a lot of these fantasies of retiring and living on a beach for the rest of your life and sipping on pina coladas, right? Because a lot of people believe that that would be their best life, that they would just retire, they would have no responsibilities, and that they could just, again, sip on pina coladas all day long or insert whatever your favorite drink is. But the truth is that a lot of people may like to do that for a week, maybe even 2, maybe even a month's vacation. But after a certain period of time, they may grow tired of sitting on a beach all day with no responsibilities and doing nothing. Now, I can assure you there are at least a few people out there who would love to do that. I actually met a couple people like that when I was traveling. This is going back about 10 years now, on a trip to Joost Van Dyke and St. John's, where people actually lived on those islands. I think they were the British Virgin Islands, and like that was their life, and they loved it. And they were maybe early 50s, late 40s. It's what they love. So that for them is great. I can assure you that although I like a vacation and I like going to the beach, I could not sit on a beach for the rest of my life with nothing to do and just, completely veg out the whole time. That would not be right for me. Now, for a lot of people though, you can simply test that. You can say, hey, I don't know, is this something I would like? And if you have a virtual-based position, a virtual-based job, you might be able to move to a beach now or beach town or someplace like that, rent an Airbnb, and be able to actually test that out. So that's a way to be able to test out if you really believe that that's the life that you want to be living, and start to do it now while kind of dropping everything all together. So although I can tell you that for sure isn't for me, what I can say is this, is that when I first graduated from college, I worked at especially one very beautiful boutique health club. And this was in Boston, Massachusetts. I was living in Providence, Rhode Island still. And it was commuting every day down by train. And that worked great for me because living in Providence, Rhode Island was about 20% the price of living in Boston. So that was great. And I still had friends and my girlfriend then, but now wife, was in Providence as well. So what I did though is I worked at this club, got to enjoy working in this club. Eventually I said, oh, I really like Boston too. And I eventually got to move to Boston. I kind of tested out the theory of living in Boston, working in Boston. Oh yeah, this works for me. So eventually was able to move there. And then another year or so went by and I had been working there for a couple of years now. And I said, you know what? I'm really growing a little tired of this corporate-based atmosphere, this corporate-based environment. I'm here to help people transform their bodies, to work on nutrition, to work on their exercise, their overall fitness. I don't really want to be a part of the corporate-based gossip and, having to make this specific number or that specific number. I was like, that's not what I'm here to do. And instead of me just saying, oh, I'm just going to drop everything and leave and go start my own business, whatever it is, I said, hey, listen, you know what I'm going to do? I don't know if starting my own business is really right for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off Wednesdays. So I'm going to work Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays at this particular health club. And I'm going to work on Wednesdays on my own. And I'm going to be working with clients, doing in-home personal training and in-home nutrition and working with people on that. And this is going back to the early 2000s. And so I tested that out and I didn't know if I would like building my own website, right? If I didn't know if I'd like going out and meeting business owners and putting up business cards in different places and going out to do lunch and learns and, reaching as many people out there as possible to then gain new clients outside of the health club and test that out. And I did it. It was a lot of work. But I was like, you know what? I actually really like this. I enjoy seeing that if I do this, this, and this, that over time, I can begin to grow and build a business. And so I really like that. And so after some time, I went out full time in my own health-based business. Time went on. It became very successful. I hired a team. I got hired then by a lot of other boutique health clubs and spas and wellness centers to train their teams and to build their teams up and do all of that. I said, great. Well, I love hiring people. I love teaching people. And that went well. And so I started moving in that direction. But then lo and behold, it became what? More corporate again. We need you to do this, this, and this. We need you to teach our teams in order to be doing this, this. And I just, again, didn't enjoy that corporate aspect to it. So what I began to realize was this. I saw trends forming in my life. If I was working on teaching and I was working on helping the end client, right? If I could help the end client or I could help the intermediary, which was the nutritionist or personal trainer or yoga instructor or whoever the facilitator was at the health club, I enjoyed that. What I didn't enjoy was working with the administrators of a health club or wellness center or whatever it might be that were strictly focused on the numbers and the financials of an organization, which I know that you need to do. So there's no doubt about it. You need to make sure that you're a successful organization in order to be able to have the organization in the first place. So listen, I get it and I understand, but I realized it's not what I enjoyed doing. So I saw these trends form in my life. And every time I started to head down towards the finances and the systems for a corporation, it never worked out. I ended up feeling more stress. I didn't enjoy my job as much, and you could see it kind of seep out into my entire life. But if you could get me back hiring good people, training them, teaching them how to help others using the protocols I had developed, that I absolutely loved. So I left anything ever to do with consulting again for other clubs. And what I did was I simply began to then open up my own establishment. So I opened up my own body transformation center. And then I opened up my own integrative health functional medicine center in Boston, Massachusetts. And I absolutely loved those. There's no doubt about it. So I was in direct contact now with a team of about 24 people. And we were all helping to facilitate people improve their overall wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, etc. Groundbreaking stuff. Loved, being able to do all of those things. But I can tell you this, is it taught me a lot about myself over those years. And I've taken it with me to this day, because every time I could see myself moving into a point of more stress in my life, I say, what am I doing right now that's against and away from who I truly am, which is what I feel is a more of a teacher, is someone that's here to share what I've learned over the years. And am I getting into more of the too technical aspect of, whatever it might be, again, the systems and procedures, or am I speaking from my experience and actually giving people the protocols that I know work in my practice? And so why I'm sharing this with you here today is that I think that we all know when we begin to get a bit off track, when we're doing things in life for not necessarily the wrong reasons, but reasons that aren't our own. So, when you grow up, oftentimes your grandparents, your parents, your community, they want what is best for you, of course, but sometimes they want what's best for what makes them feel is best, right? So essentially, they believe that they have your best interest in mind, safety, security, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best interests of you, because they're not you. And only you knows uniquely what you would like. So if you begin to really quiet your mind, listen to your heart, listen to your gut rather than just your head, you can begin to say, I'm happiest in life when I'm doing X, Y, or Z. And I'm unhappiest when I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. I'll share with you one more thing. I was going to close my private practice many years ago simply because of follow-ups and emails. So when you're building a large practice and you see thousands of people, you can understand that you could get thousands of emails as well. And for a lot of people, they don't mind at all. Like, we have an amazing customer care team at all of my different companies, Equal Life, Integrative Health Practitioner, and StephenCabral.com. And they are amazing at getting back to people. I mean, we've got super fast turnaround, and that is what they are great at. That is not what I'm great at. So I realized really quickly, this is super stressing me out, having to then finish my day and answer a couple hundred emails a day minimum. And so I said, I can't do this. So I hired someone just to be able to get back to everybody with all of the different emails. And it was life-changing. I got to continue to do what I loved, which was assess a situation, understand someone's root cause imbalances, provide them with the exact protocol they need based on their at-home lab results to then help them rebalance their body and get well again, right? That's what I love. That's uniquely me, what I can do. Other people are much better than me at being able to follow up, answer questions through email, all of the different frequently asked questions. So that allowed me then to continue to do what I love to do, while someone else then got to provide all of the great customer support on the back end. So again, sometimes you don't have to just throw everything in life away of what you were doing. Sometimes it's just small. So a couple small, subtle tweaks that will allow you to continue down the path which you believe you are meant for. And remember, if you're in a career right now, if you don't believe that it's what you should be doing, you can begin to test out just by reading books and doing a certification or gaining more knowledge in another field that would allow you to at least test out moving into that particular field without dropping everything. And the same goes for overall health or body transformation. Like, you can actually test out other programs for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, see if it's the right fit for you before necessarily fully committing or not committing. And again, even something as simple as like a diet plan, you'll know after 6 weeks, 12 weeks, or multiple attempts, what you realistically can handle and what you can't handle. And so you'll know in the future that it's just not really going to work for you doing something like what I just spoke about, or will be speaking about this week on carb cycling. You can't have a different diet plan every single day. It's too complicated for you. Okay, that's not a problem. So you just need a more set regimen every single day that keeps you on track. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily worse or better than any other plan. You just need to know and begin to figure out what works best for you in your life. And there's one more thing that I wanted to share with you, a beautiful little parable, we'll call it, that I read the other day. And there's different variations on this, but it hits home for me because I never want to lose sight of the main thing, right? You always keep the main thing. And I think you'll understand this by the end of this short little parable. So it said this: one day, a rich dad took his son on a trip to a village. He wanted to show him, his son, how poor someone can be. They spend time on the farm of a poor family. On their return from the trip, the father asked his son, "How was the trip?" "It was great, Dad," said the son. "Did you see how the poor people live?" the father asked. "Oh, yes," said the son. "So tell me, what did you learn from this trip?" asked the father. The son answered, "We have one dog, they have four. We have a pool, they have rivers. We have tube light at night, they have stars. We buy food, they grow theirs. We have walls to protect us, they have friends. We have television, they spend time with family and relatives." The boy's father was speechless. Then his son added, "Thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are." And I thought that was an amazing little parable because sometimes, and obviously I'm a parent now myself, two young daughters. I keep saying young daughters, and now they're growing older and older. They're 7 and 9. It's pretty wild. Since 6 years ago when I started this podcast, they would have been what? It's hard to believe. 1 and 3. Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable, right? Time goes by pretty quick, and it's amazing. But what it really teaches me over and over is to keep the main thing. And that's that in the end, what always has mattered to me in life is trying to be of good service to other people. Because I don't know, and I'm not sure that any of us really do, what the true meaning to life is and how to ultimately achieve happiness and to be happy. But all I can say is this, is that every time I'm at a crossroads in life, every time I'm stressed about something, every time I'm not feeling my best, if I provide teaching or service or do a podcast or a whiteboard video or answer questions, do the Cabral house calls, I always feel like I'm doing my part in some small way to enhance and enrich the lives of at least one other person. And whenever I'm saying, I'm not at my happiest, I feel like I'm not growing then in that regard. So as long as I'm growing and in terms of my own knowledge base, and then I'm teaching, I always feel at least like I'm moving in the right direction. So none of that has ever had to do with money or finances or ego or followers on social media or any of those things. I spoke against that. I think it was last week on the show of why you can never compare yourself to anyone else. Let's see if I can get that for you. That was on episode 2061. It was actually 2 weeks ago. So if you didn't check that out, I would definitely check that out. But those two shows really have said this, is that you are not supposed to be anyone other than you. That's the truth. So if someone's trying to put some feeling of what their life should have been or is onto you, you have to say, I appreciate that. And it sounds like that might be amazing for you, but it's just not my path. And I really invite you right now to begin to think more about what your path is. And you don't have to think too much about it. You don't have to really try to figure it out. Think about all of the times that you're your happiest. Think about all the times when your body feels its lightest, that you feel like time is just passing for you effortlessly. And where you sometimes, without even knowing it, have a little smile on your face. Those are the times that you want to increase in life. You want to get more of that. And if you begin to see the correlations with those happy times versus the times when you're the most stressed, I know that you're going to be able to move more towards more happiness, more joy in life. And that's really what it's all about. So thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. I really do. If this show was helpful, I would love for you to pass it on to anybody else you think it could serve. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing start to the week. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And this week is a big celebration for us over at Equilife. It is Equilife's first anniversary, switching from Equilibrium Nutrition to Equilife. And we couldn't be more excited to be able to share this celebration with you. All this week, we're actually giving away our Equilife-based t-shirts, free men and women's t-shirts on all qualifying orders over $129. This is an amazing $19.95 to $29.95 value, and get yours completely free while supplies last. Head on over to stephencabral.com/Equilife for all of the details. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the Equilife community.